In 1961, one of the most known experiments in the history of psychology was executed. The experiment which is studied to this very day, and the experiment that gives a worrying answer to the question, where's the line of your obedience? Stanley Milgram, the psychologist at Yale University, put in motion one of the most controversial experiments in 1961. He wanted to know just how far are people willing to go and what things they're capable of when given an order from a person with authority. He was inspired to put this experiment to the test because of the trial of Adolf Eichmann the year before. Eichmann, who was one of the main figures in the systematic cleaning, was defending with a simple sentence: "I just followed the orders." Milgram noticed that he wasn't the only one, which prompted him to ask the question, just how horrific things will people do if given orders from a person in a uniform? Milgram placed an ad in newspapers looking for 40 men, aged between 20 and 50, who were willing to participate in a psychological experiment. And in this group, there were all kinds of personalities, ranging from well-educated down to people with only basic school. And the experiment was done in a following way. The group was divided on teachers and students. The choice was rigged by Milgram himself, and the student was always played by his colleague who was acting. The student was tied with electrodes and given a list of words to memorize. On the other side of the wall was the teacher, meaning all of the men. Their task was to question the student, who was giving false answers, naturally on purpose, in 90% of the time. And for every incorrect answer, the teacher had to give a dose of electroshock to the student by turning on the switch. 30 questions, 30 switches, with different voltages. From starting with mild dose of 15 volts to dangerous and life-threatening 450 volts. Of course, as we said, the student was Milgram's colleague and wasn't really shocked but acted the whole time. In the room with the teacher who gave the electroshocks was the man with the grey lab coat, a uniform if you will, who presented authority. And he wasn't interfering in the process in any way, unless teachers didn't want to continue with the experiment. Even in that case, the participants weren't physically forced to continue further. Instead, the man in the uniform used 3 sentences ranked as orders, from mild to strict. Please continue. The experiment requires for you to continue. It is absolutely necessary for you to continue. And the last one, you don't have any other choice other than to continue. And the final result of the experiment was shocking.
Wrong. Volts. 135. Answer woman. N. White cloud. Horse, rock, house. Answer. Wrong. 150 volts. Answer horse.
Experiment. That's all. Get me out of here. I told you I had heart trouble. My heart's starting to bother me now. Get me out of here, please.
Continue, please. Go right on.
I refuse to go on. Let me out.
The experiment requires you continue, teacher. Please continue. Next word is sad.
Want me to keep going?
Continue, please.
Oh, sad. Sad. Face, music, clown, girl. Correct. Next one, short. Sentence, movie, skirt, time. Answer, please. Wrong. 165 volts. Time.
Let me out!
That guy's hollering in there.
Continue, please. Go on.
There's a lot of them here, you know. They have a heart condition there. You want me to go?
Just continue, please.
Sharp. Axe, needle, stick, blade. Answer, please. Wrong. I'm up to 180 volts.
Please continue, teacher.
Needle, you're gonna get a shock. 180 volts.
Oh! I can't stand the pain! Let me out of here!
Can't stand it. I'm not gonna kill that man there. You hear him hollering?
As I said before, the shocks may be painful, but they're not
he's
dangerous.
in there hollering. He can't stand it. What if something happens to him?
The experiment requires that you continue, teacher.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna get that man sick in there. I mean, he's hollering in there. You know what I mean?
Whether the learner likes it or not, we must go on until he's learned all the word
I
pairs.
refuse to take the responsibility of him getting hurt in there. You know, I'm not. I mean, he's in there hollering.
It's absolutely essential that you continue, teacher.
There's too many left here, and I mean, geez, he gets wrong here. There's too many of them left. I mean, who's going to take the responsibility if anything happens to that gentleman?
I'm responsible for anything that happens here. Continue, please.
All right, next one, slow. Walk, dance, truck, music. Answer, please. Wrong. 195 volts. Dance.
Oh! Let me out of here! Let me out of here!
Continue,
My heart's
please.
bothering me. Let me out of here! You have no right to keep me here! Let me
Well, I
out!
mean, he's
Let me out of
hollering
here! Let
there.
me out! Let me out of here! My heart's bothering me! Let me out! Let me out!
See that? I mean, gee, I don't know.
Well, the experiment requires
Well,
that
I
you
mean,
continue.
I know it does, sir, but I mean, you don't know what he's getting in for. He's up to 195 volts. Answer, please. Wrong. 225 volts. The word is noise. New. House, pet, book, name. Answer, please. Correct. Next one, quiet. Song, party, child, evening. Correct. Next one, tame. Wolf, bear, dog, cat. Wrong. Answer is bear. 240 volts. Next one, sweet. That's the end.
No, you go back up to the beginning of that page and go through it again until he's learned them all correctly.
Oh, no. No, I'm not going to kill that man. You mean I got to keep going up with the scale? No, sir. He's already there. I'm not going to give him 450 volts.
The experiment requires that you
I know
continue.
it does, but that man is hollering in there, sir.
As I said before, although the shocks may be painful, they're not
but
dangerous.
I mean, he's yelling in there.
Start with blue, please, at the top of the page. Continue, please, teacher.
What do I tell him? We're going over it again?
No, just go ahead.
Soft. Rug, pillow, hair, grass. Answer, please.
Go on, teacher.
Hair, 375 volts. I think something's happened to that fellow in there. I don't get no answer. He was hollering on less voltage. Can't you check in and see if he's all right, please?
Not once we've started. Please continue, teacher.
Cool, day, shade, water, cave. Answer, please. Are you all right in there? Are you all right?
Please continue, teacher.
Well, you know, I keep giving him shocks.
Continue, please.
I'm up to 390.
Continue, please.
Something's happened to that man in there. Next one, gold, dollar, necklace, moon, paint. Something's happened to that man in there. You better check in on him, sir. He won't answer me or nothing.
Please continue. Go on, please.
You accept all the responsibility?
The responsibility is mine, correct. Please go on.
Gold, dollar, necklace, moon, paint. Answer, please. Are you all right? 405 volts. The answer is moon. Next one, heart, stone, head, bread, work. Answer, please. The answer is head, 420 volts. Next one, wet, night, grass, duck, cloth. The answer is duck, 435 volts. It says danger, severe shock here, next X on the next one.
Continue, please.
435 volts. Next one, brave, woman, soldier, dog, horse. Answer is woman, 450 volts. That's it.
Now continue using the last switch on the board, please. The 450 switch for each wrong answer. Continue, please.
I'm not getting no answer.
Please continue. The next word is white.
But you think you should look in on him, please?
Not once we've started the
But
experiment.
what if something's happened to the man, had an attack or something there?
The experiment requires that we continue. Go on, please.
Don't the man's health mean anything?
Whether the learner likes it or not, we
But
must...
he might be dead in there. I mean, some people can't take the shock, sir.
Please
I mean,
continue.
I don't tend to be rude, but I mean, I think you should look in on him.
Whether
I mean, all you gotta do is look in the door. If I don't get no answer, no noise, something I think has happened to the gentleman in there, sir.
We must continue. Go on, please.
You're gonna keep giving him what, 450 volts every shot now?
That's correct. Continue. The next word is white.
White, cloud, horse, rock, house. Answer, please. The answer is horse, 450 volts. Next word, sad, face, music, clown, girl. The answer is face, 450 volts. Next one is short, sentence, movie, skirt, time.
All right, excuse me, teacher. We'll have to discontinue the experiment. I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may.
I'd like to ask you, how do you feel, though?
I feel all right, but I don't like what's happened to that fellow in there. He's been howling and we had to keep giving him shocks. I didn't like that one bit. I mean, he wanted to get out and he just kept going, kept throwing 450 volts. I didn't like that. He wouldn't even look at on that gentleman.
Well, who was actually pushing the switch?
I was. But he kept insisting. I told him no, but he said, he got to keep going. I told him it's time we stopped when we got up to 195, 210 volts.
But why didn't you just stop?
He wouldn't let me. I wanted to stop. I kept insisting to stop, but he says no. I told him to look in on the fellow there, but he wouldn't do it.
Right. Actually, the shocks are not dangerous at all.
Well, I mean, I didn't hear no more answers from the fellow. I figured he should be looked in on anyway, but he wouldn't do it.
Well, let me ask you something. Is there anything that Mr. Wallace in there could have said that would have gotten you to stop?
Oh, no, I didn't hear you. The only thing I heard is the shock wasn't too bad.
Well, is there anything that Mr. Wallace could have said that would have gotten you to stop?
Something that he said that would have got me to stop?
Yeah.
No.
Why is that?
He didn't say anything about making me stop.
No, but is there anything that Mr. Wallace could have said that would have caused you to stop giving the shocks, no matter what the experimenter had told you?
Well, I figured 200, the voltage we're giving were quite a bit. I wanted to stop, but he kept insisting not to stop. I mean, the fellow in there is hollering. He says, I don't want to do it. I want to get out of here. I want to get out of here.
Why didn't you stop anyway?
I did stop, but he kept going, keep going.
Many people, not knowing much about the experiment, claim that subjects who go to the end of the board are sadistic. Nothing could be more foolish as an overall characterization of these persons. The context of their action must always be considered. The individual, upon entering the laboratory, becomes integrated into a situation that carries its own momentum.
Most of the people on this world don't want to do any harm, and it is very difficult that somebody can make you do that in someone else's name. But what this experiment proved is that under pressure from the authority, the people are ready to do unimaginable things. This man wasn't threatened in any way to continue with the experiment. Nobody pointed a gun to his head. Nobody took his hand and forced him to turn on the switches. He did all that by himself, and as he later said, I didn't have any choice. I wanted to stop, but my supervisor wouldn't let me. The same sentence you get to hear all the time from all those who committed some of the worst atrocities in human history. I only followed the orders. The key in this experiment was the taking of the responsibility. Almost all of the participants of the experiment were just average normal people who were not willing to use higher voltages on students. Some of them quit even after all the sentences, but others, in a very large percentage, continued as soon as the supervisor decided to take all the responsibility to himself. When people lose the basic moral responsibility and put it on somebody else, they are ready to cross all their moral boundaries and commit truly horrific things. The thing that is worrying is that we're not talking about some psychopaths and cold-blooded monsters, but just normal, everyday people. Of course, as we said, there were people who absolutely refused to continue further without the proper inspection of the current condition of the student. The problem is that those people are way behind percentage-wise, like this man.
Incorrect. You'll now get a shock of 105 volts. Hard head. Just how far can you go in this thing?
As far as is necessary.
What do you mean, as far as is necessary?
To complete the test. We'll find all the words. Please continue.
I sure don't know the effect of this thing, and I'm a little skeptical about electricity.
The experiment requires that you go on, teacher. Please continue.
Incorrect. 150 volts. Sad face.
Experimenter, that's all. Get me out of here. I told you I had heart trouble. My heart's starting to bother me now. Get me out of here, please.
Continue.
My heart's starting to bother me.
Steve.
I refuse to go on. Let me out.
I think we ought to find out what's wrong in there first.
The experiment requires that you continue, teacher.
Well, the experiment might require that we continue, but I still think we should find out what the condition of the gentleman is.
Now, as I said before, although the shocks may be painful, they're not dangerous.
Look, I don't know anything about electricity. I don't profess any knowledge, nor will I go any further until I find out if the guy's okay.
It's absolutely essential that you continue.
Well, essential or not, this program isn't quite that important to me that I should go along doing something that I know nothing about, particularly if it's going to injure someone. I don't know what this is all about.
Well, whether the learner likes it or not, we must go on until he's learned all the word pairs correctly.
Well, you can sure have your 450 back. I didn't want it anyhow. I intend to give it to some charitable organization, but I wouldn't go on with it.
The 450 is not the issue here. That check is yours simply
Yeah, I
to come
realize
to the
that.
lab. It is essential that you continue the experiment.
No, it isn't essential. Not one bit.
You have no other choice, teacher.
Oh, I have a lot of choices. My number one choice is that I wouldn't go on if I thought he was being harmed.
The result of the experiment. 65% of the participants went to the last and dangerous dose of 450 volts, and 100% went to 300 volts. And now you have to think very deeply. If people are willing to do this without feeling any responsibility, only because of one single man in a lab coat, imagine what would happen if beside you stand even higher form of authority. Let's say military, because the uniform is very important. The average man would follow the orders from the authority, even if that leads to the death of another human. Obedience is something that is installed in all of us from the time we come to this world. And maybe you heard sometime that people of this caliber were often called a sheep. Maybe it sounds a bit harsh and like an insult to the animal, But that claim is sadly not far from the truth, because people truly have the need to follow the group or herd, follow the authority who will say how to act, what to do, and what to think.